I, 34F, have a friend, who I'll call Mary, 33F, who is getting married in 2 weeks. She and I have been friends for several years, and I was excited when she asked me if I could make her cake. I don't normally do cakes anymore for people outside of family and friends as I'm currently pregnant, have a 1-year-old, and am currently pursuing another master's degree in education administration so I can be a school principal because teaching is dead end without an admin license, unfortunately. At the time when she asked, I was also teaching full-time and finishing up a different master's program. Anyway, I agreed to make this cake over a year ago. I told Mary when she offered to pay that I would do it for free as my wedding gift to her. I distinctly said wedding gift. She accepted, and we started planning the design. Mary wanted a 4-tier cake with each tier a different flavor: white, chocolate, yellow, lemon, and several sugar flowers and fondant decorations, as well as 3 different flavored buttercreams. It was a lot, but since she is having an August wedding, I had time because school would be out for summer, and I am actually taking a year off since finding out I was pregnant a few months ago. Saturday, I went to Mary's bachelorette party. The party itself was fine, nothing remarkable happened. I couldn't drink, but everyone had fun. One of Mary's bridesmaids asked what we all were getting her for her wedding. I said I was making the cake for free. The bridesmaid and other girls there said that was a good gift because cake is expensive, and they wished they had gotten one for free. That's it, and I heard nothing else about it until today. Mary texted me and asked why I wasn't getting her a wedding gift. I told her I was, and that it was the cake, and reminded her that the cake was free. She said that wasn't a gift and that it's a favor. I told her it's a gift and that she can't tell me what I can gift her. I then asked why she was mentioning it, and she said the bridesmaid I spoke to Saturday told her that she was so lucky to get a free cake. She agreed but then was upset when the bridesmaid said that's a good gift. I asked her if her own bridesmaid thinks it's a good gift, what's the problem, and she said it's not up to the bridesmaid to tell her what her gifts are. I told her this is her gift. She said that a gift needs to be something she can use in her marriage, not just the cake at the wedding. I told her with me going to school and not working right now that this is a major expense that I'm taking on by doing it for free, and she said that wasn't her problem and that a real friend would do both. I responded with fine, I'll get back to you, and she thanked me for understanding. About 30 minutes later, I sent her a bill for her cake. The bill was for $700 with a deposit of $350 due by this Friday and the rest 24 hours before the event start time. She asked me what that was for, and I told her since it's not a gift, she needs to pay for it. She said she couldn't afford it, and I told her I didn't care and this is what business looks like. I did promise to get her a gift off of her registry, though. She told me no cake is worth $700, but in the bill breakdown, I pointed out where it was going from ingredients to transportation. Her venue is 45 minutes away, additional labor, my husband helps me deliver cakes, so he's getting paid, too, last minute booking, time, and the size of the cake on top of the intricate decorations she wants. She said she shouldn't be charged for anything since I promised to do it for free, and it's too late to find another baker. I said that sounds an awful lot like not my problem. Because it isn't. She then asked if I could just do the cake for free and forget the gift, but I said no, this is the new deal, and I have not responded to her text since. She and her fiancé were venting in a group message with the wedding party that I'm not in. One of the bridesmaids, who is a mutual friend, asked me what happened after telling me what was being said in the group text, and I sent her the messages of our exchange, and now apparently, the bridal party is now divided. Some are saying I should go back and do the cake for free like I originally promised, while others are telling Mary she was wrong, and apparently it's become a huge ordeal. Her fiancé is now mad at both of us for being petty and ridiculous. My husband is team Mary can suck an egg and doesn't think I should do the cake or get the gift. But he told me to remember this could cost me a friendship, but he'd support me either way, but he thinks I should stand my ground in this, and not let Mary push me around. However, my husband also doesn't really like Mary for unrelated reasons, so he may be biased. Ida for charging my friend for the cake and refusing to do it free after she got mad at me? Update 1. This post was originally going to be answering as many repeat questions as I could, but this morning, mutual friend bridesmaid, I'll call Pam, messaged me today to give me an update. Mary and her fiancé, I'll call Frank, are currently not on speaking terms because they got into an argument last night. It wasn't directly because of the cake, but what the cake debacle revealed to Frank. Apparently, Mary has been spending a lot of his money on this wedding. Now, we all kind of already knew that. Mary told us Frank and his family would be footing the bill. He's an engineer and his family has a lot of money. I'm not exactly sure what their family wealth is from, but it was enough to pay out of pocket for him and his siblings to go to expensive universities debt-free. What we didn't know is that they've been arguing about the finances this entire time, and my cake was the last straw for Frank. Mary's budget for their wedding was $30,000 and she's apparently spent almost double that on intricate flowers, her wedding dress, decorations, engagement photos, catering, open bar, entertainment, and flying her family in and paying for their accommodations. The venue alone took a good chunk of their money because of the size and location, an hour away from where we all live. It's a large house, maybe considered a mansion, I can't remember, with several acres of land, horses, a lake, and a field for wedding photos. The entire wedding party is supposedly staying there for a few days leading up to the wedding. I've not seen it in person. Again, I'm not in the wedding party and never was, but the photos online make it obvious why it's so expensive. I had no idea they had spent that much, and neither did anyone in the wedding party. As far as we all knew, the most expensive thing Mary had bought was her wedding dress to the tune of $5,000. I only know because I went with her to try some on with other friends and bridesmaids. Pam's fiancé is one of Frank's groomsmen, and Frank's been venting to the groomsmen in texts about how much this is costing, and he's not sure he wants to do this anymore. However, he feels compelled to because the money has been spent and is non-refundable, but he said he didn't know Mary would be this way about a wedding because she typically sticks to budgets, which is true. Literally everyone is surprised by how much she is supposedly spending, including my husband and me. Mary is the person who gets everything off-brand at the store to save $1 even when she really doesn't need to. From what Pam told me, Mary asked him to just pay me so she could have the cake, and he said no, not because he couldn't afford it, but because he was tired of spending money on just one day. He told her to figure it out herself. So nobody knows what is going on anymore or if there will even be a wedding. No one has reached out to me about making the cake, either, and my husband, or those wondering, is still Team Mary can suck an egg. Before anyone asks, no, Mary did not grow up poor. She was very much middle class like I was, and she's never been broke or anything. She's also never seemed like she wanted overly expensive stuff. She drives a 10-year-old sedan that, despite Frank saying she needs a new car, she won't get rid of because it runs fine, and my dad taught me to drive my cars into the ground. So believe me when I say it really is out of character for her to be this nonchalant about money. I'm not sure if I'll have another update. If I do, it'll be after the wedding, if there is one. ETA, I know a lot of people are saying things about Mary just using Frank for his money, but at the same time, I want to remember that Pam only gave me Frank's side via what he's been telling the groomsmen. I have no idea what part he played and if this really actually bothered him up to this point or if he's ever mentioned the amount she's been spending to her. It's now 6 p.m. and I've not spoken to or heard from Mary since yesterday after giving her the quote, so I don't have any more to add other than my perspective. It really does sound out of character for Mary to be doing this, but I remember when I got married that my husband said he wanted me to have what made me happy for our wedding. So if he's been telling her what my husband told me and still giving her money, then he's definitely not an innocent party emo. So I didn't expect this to actually get read on Charlotte's channel, but since it did, I'll let everyone know what ended up happening. And, yes, it's confusing. Long story short, the villain in this situation isn't, Mary. It's Frank. And no, they did not get married. If you want to read the first 2 updates, they're the only other 2 posts in my profile. And this update is all the information I've gathered from bridesmaid Pam and her fiancé, so bear with me. Most of this is what Mary has told Pam, who then relayed it to me. Anyway, I mentioned before that Mary was, and still is, a frugal person. That's why we all thought the gift and cake thing was weird, as well as her spending a bunch of money for the wedding. It turns out that Mary has actually been trying to save money despite doubling their budget apparently. Frank's family always throws extravagant celebrations and parties. That includes birthdays, holidays, graduations, and weddings. So Frank has been emphasizing to Mary that this wedding is supposed to be huge because that's just how his family is. I'm guessing it's a way to flaunt success, but that's just a guess. I don't actually know the real reason. But Frank has been hands off the entire time. I'm not surprised. My own husband only cared about the food, cake flavor, and that the colors weren't pink. But Frank has been telling Mary to save money since that's what she's good at, and that he didn't want to spend a bunch of money on one day. So Mary picked out things that were cheaper but were not good enough for Frank. Like that mansion/large house where everyone would be staying? Yeah, Frank's idea. Mary apparently wanted to do a hotel that hosted weddings because her family could stay there for less money and the hotel was just cheaper to host a wedding versus a literal mansion with horses. He would do this with everything and veto things like her choices of decorations and vendors because they weren't big enough, or I'm guessing extravagant. He even told her how big her bouquet had to be and that her dress needed to have lots of bling. So basically, Mary has been trying to stick to the budget, but what was in the budget didn't match Frank's taste or expectations. So when I said she had to pay for the cake, Frank accused Mary of not saving them money despite her being so money conscious. And Mary wasn't the one who had the problem with the cake. It was Frank. I guess they both knew the cake was free, but Frank didn't know I was making it as a gift. Mary explained that I was, and he said that didn't count and to ask me about it. He said it didn't count because friends doing favors for an event like a wedding isn't a gift. On some level she must have agreed because she didn't mention Frank being the one with the problem at all in the messages, but whatever. Anyway, the cake was what Mary was really looking forward to because it was the only thing she felt she had 100% say in regarding the wedding. And when I charged her for it, Frank was upset that Mary was not saving them money like he was expecting. This resulted in a fight where they ended up not on speaking terms. When Frank was complaining to Pam's fiancé and the rest of the groomsmen, it was in text and, according to Pam, Mary found them and left Frank for making her seem like a greedy bitch to everyone when she was only getting things Frank wanted without Frank's help. And that if it were up to her, they wouldn't have most of the expensive things she bought for the wedding. The only contact I've had from Mary was an apology text message. When I told her it was okay and we were still friends, she didn't answer. In fact, she hasn't answered anyone other than to tell the wedding party that the wedding was off, apologize for the inconvenience, and since then, she's been quiet. She did post on her social media a long apology for canceling. She said postponed, but I noticed her relationship status is gone. But the location/check-in is in the hometown where her parents live, not where we live, so I think she went back to her parents' house after calling the wedding off. But that's all I know, and I heard it secondhand from Pam. But according to Pam, Frank is upset Mary left because all his money is tied up in vendors that he can't get back and has been trying to plead his case with the groomsmen. But only his brother is on his side. Pam's fiancé and the other groomsmen have stopped talking to him. Also, I heard Charlotte asking why Mary wasn't paying for the wedding, too. I can't answer that, but Mary works as an STNA and doesn't make a lot. Her bachelor's was in psychology, and she never went on to get her doctorates, so getting employed in her field isn't very easy. I also don't know if they're still together. Mary didn't say they broke up, just that the wedding is postponed/cancelled. Now on to second story. Discovered my boyfriend, who has always claimed he wants to marry me, has been lying all along and now he's terrified of marriage. My partner, 25 male, is my 26F rock and I'm his. Literally he tells me that all the time, including yesterday. We've been together for 5 years and have a truly wonderful relationship. Always talking, laughing, comfortable with one another. Able to communicate healthily even when we disagree. After surviving abuse as a child and struggling with unhealthy romantic relationships in the past, the fact that we love each other in a respectful, secure and profoundly healthy way is truly my biggest blessing, and I wake up every day so happy and grateful for him. He is an incredible man with so much drive, intelligence, kindness, and gifts to give the world. About a year and a half ago it came up for the first time that we saw ourselves getting married one day. It was such a beautiful moment and it rocked my world to have been vulnerable, said those words, and have him say them too. Since then it's been something incredibly happy that I get to hold in my heart and look forward to. The subject has come up sporadically since then, but I haven't wanted to push it too far since we are young and it is very much an eventually thing. Both of our parents are divorced and has come from money. He got a lot of strong advice growing up not to marry young and to protect his assets, to see it from a more financial view than I ever have thought of it. Nevertheless, the thought makes me happy and we often daydream about the future we'll build together, the little house in New Hampshire we hope to buy and the dogs and chickens we'll have. These are conversations he participates in and brings up on his own all the time. I want to be able to talk casually about the marriage aspect, too, go to bed with a sleepy can't wait to marry you or love of my life, but for some reason recently whenever the subject has come up he's clammed up and made it feel really serious. This culminated maybe 2 months ago with a really weird conversation in which I sensed he might not have processed what marriage really means in the way that I had, and that he wasn't ready to be talking about this in the way that I was or as much as he had let on. I told him I don't want to put a gun to his head, this is just something that makes me happy to think about and talk about, and I tell him everything. I said I love him for him, I'd wait as long as he needs, but that I firmly didn't want to bring up the subject again until he was comfortable discussing it. I wanted to relieve the pressure on him, and I haven't mentioned it since. Well, yesterday we spent a really lovely day getting lunch and hiking with my family. They live far away so we don't see them very often. My stepsister and her fiancé were there as well, and of course there was a little bit of light conversation about their upcoming wedding. My BF was his usual friendly, easygoing self. I noticed he seemed quiet on the way home and later that evening, so I asked if he was worried about work, but he just said he was tired from a long day traveling. I made him a drink, kissed him on the forehead like I always do, and promised we could do whatever he wanted to relax that night. Just did what I normally do when I can tell he's stressed, try to show empathy and take care of him. But then as I'm making dinner he comes over to me and drops this bomb. He came over to me crying and said spending time with an engaged couple and even barely talking about their wedding had sent him into a panic and he did not know if he could ever see himself getting married. I was completely blindsided. I tried to parse what he was saying, but it was like my brain was stuck. Evidently he had been locking himself in his office at work all week crying about this. I kept asking him why he would say he wanted to marry me if he didn't. He said he was lying, basically. That he wanted to give me what he knew I wanted to make me happy. I could only just stare at him open-mouthed. I kept trying to pinpoint if he was saying to me, I don't think I'll be ready to get married for a long time, or I don't think I'll ever be ready to get married, and I really don't think he knows himself. I don't think he has put any kind of mature thought into marriage at all. It was like talking to a scared child. He kept saying stuff about not knowing where his career will lead or if he'll have money. He has a great job, an outstanding network, and is definitely not poor. Neither of us are, and I was just like, we're a partnership. You wanted to be with me yesterday, you want to be with me today, do you want to be with me tomorrow? Yes, he said. I said, well, that's all what matters. We have a life we love and we'll take on the future together when it comes. I'm devastated. He left for his mother's house and I don't know when he'll be home. I cannot take another sleeping pill or my heart will stop, but I can't sleep a wink. I literally spiked a 100-degree fever and spent all night sweating and freezing. I had no idea it was possible to be in so much pain it makes you physically sick. This person is the bedrock of my life. We have always had rock solid confidence that we can trust each other, be vulnerable around each other, and be our full authentic selves without inhibition or fear of judgment. We share everything together and we are best friends. He even said that over and over as he sobbed and told me he loved me and that he didn't want to get married. Hours ago I had the most beautiful and solid relationship in the world. Now I don't know if we're going to break up. I'm reeling. I feel like I've been stabbed in the back by my safe space. The earth fell out from under me and I don't even know what to think anymore. Update 1. The long and short of it is, he left me. I called him the next day asking when he would come home. He'd told me he needed a day to think, but he was talking like we were broken up. I asked him to at least tell me we're still together. He wouldn't. So yeah. He just torched it in pretty much an instant. I had been leaning a lot on the kind words I received from folks who reassured me that one fight does not need to derail everything we've built over the last 5 years. I took the perspective that the question of marriage was something that we'd need to discuss seriously and hopefully through therapy to arrive at what both of us want. I had no idea he would just upend the table with no warning, without ever expressing his feelings or giving us the chance to address it with even a single conversation. So many of the comments I received revolved around the question, is not marrying him a deal breaker for you? Would you be okay with simply a long-term relationship? I don't know. I would have to search my soul for that answer. But I didn't even get the chance. He made that choice for me. 5 beautiful years and he just fucking left. Needless to say, there were a million better ways to do this while honoring his fears and feelings while still showing me an ounce of respect as his partner and someone who loves him. This owed a conversation, and even if we still reached the same conclusion, I would understand. But this? It's not what I deserve. I did see him one night and we had been texting. He said all of this awful stuff about how he was just trying to tell me everything I wanted to hear and how I wouldn't like the person he really is underneath all of his people pleasing. He's got a lot of this don't talk about it, just run in his family, including in his parents' relationships. My partner has always said he doesn't respect this kind of behavior and talked vehemently about how his values are different. Then he just did the same thing. Although when I wrote my original post I wanted nothing more than to continue living our happy day to day together, but given this entire nightmare, space is the only thing that can do anything for either of us at this point. He has no idea what he's feeling or how to talk about it in a healthy way. My dad had the simplest take and yet said it best, he's immature. He needs to work on himself, and I hope he does. As for me, I'd be an idiot to still want to marry him knowing this is the kind of thing he's capable of. So, we've got to break our lease. Apartment hunting while still reeling from this 180 flip of my life has been terrible. We moved to this city together, and pretty much every friend I met through him, so I'm really scared it will mean losing a lot of other people I love too. It's going to be expensive and miserable to live on my own, and I'm still grieving my sweet love and the life I thought we were going to have together. I gave 5 years of my life and so much of myself to being one half of that partnership. I never wanted to be on my own again and now I am. I still love him, but I can't wait around while he fixes himself, or pine foolishly hoping one day he'll wake up and be ready for me. I don't want to stand on my own 2 feet, but that's just what I have to do. My question now is, how do I move on?